Hello everyone, Jen Bell here for Country Craft Creations Design Team. Today I would like to show you a walkthrough of on my album that I just recently created. This is made with the exclusive Baby Dreams Boy papers. There is a girl version of this as well, and it is exclusive only at Country Craft Creations. For my album, I've used the lay flat method, and I have used navy Artisan cardstock as well as my colors cardstock in the Bluebells with little polka dots. And I have used the seam binding ribbon that is available on the website in a royal blue color and done a double wraparound closure for that. So that is simply done just by wrapping underneath before applying, or excuse me, adhering any cardstock down, and that gives me two bows in the end to work with. So let's just show you here. This is a very simple album, and I did this on purpose. This is a gift, and I did not want it to be an overly embellished album. I wanted it to be able to be touched and moved around a lot, so I wanted to not include a lot of embellishment like I normally do. And I've just let the papers, which are beautiful, as you can see, all of that gorgeous color. I hope the camera does it justice. They really speak for themselves. And this here is my spine. My spine, by the way, is 2 inches. And again, the back and cover are 5.5 by 7.5. And that was done with the lay flat method. So on the inside of my album, and this, like I said, is a quick, simple album. So on the inside, I've included just an angled pocket with a little bit of that paper fussy cut to hold on to that butterfly. And throughout this album, you will see I've taken some die cuts like these, both in the blue Artisan cardstock here, the navy Artisan cardstock, and some papers that I cut, also some white, and some papers that I cut with lines, and these are different sizes so they can be layered. And the person that I am giving this to, I thought would love to have some extra pieces, photo mats and such, and I cut extra, so this little pocket here is the perfect little place to put those. And after this little walkthrough, I do have a tutorial on how the pages were created, as well as this little angled pocket. So I have used the recently found by me, not created by me, stack the deck page method. And this is a method that's used to make this little middle booklet style pages. And this is actually just a really nice way to create a quick and simple album without having to put an actual binding for your pages in here. And these are a series of pages that, when created and done, and like I said, I will have a tutorial after this on how to do this. These come out to be a 7.25 by 5.25 each page, and then you have your decorative papers. So I will go through and show you the things that I did in the end that are very simple. This is a fussy cut from the paper that I had, and I'm going to use this card here just to show you. This can be used as a little photo mount. She can just slip a photo in there of her child or anything she would like to put in there. On this page, I have taken a just statistics page from another paper collection for a baby's statistics when they're born, their name, their date, their time, weight, length, hair, and eyes. And I have created a belly band with that using, again, some Artisan cardstock and just adhering this with 2 pieces of score tape, one on the top and, one on the top and one on the bottom. And that way she can slide a birth announcement, anything she wants up underneath of there. And I really like the way that looks. And then I have left this page here open for either she can use the included pieces that I used, or she can just place a photo on here herself. Again, another photo mat page. Here I've created another belly band and left a little journaling die cut space here. And this is also open in the back for anything she wants to stick in here. And this is very simply done. You just cut your pieces, And then you only adhere either, I use score tape for this, 1/2 inch score tape. And you just put that on either side, and that will leave you a little slip-in space that's fairly tight. If you want it looser, you would want to put gussets on here. So then we have another belly band here, and I've fussy cut out one of those little raccoons from the papers and put that on there, and done that in the same exact belly band method using that Bluebells My Colors cardstock. This page, we have a little square that I've put here for journaling, as well as some fussy cuts, and I liked that little boy portion of the paper, so I left that on there. We have another photo mat on this page, and then this little page here has a place for journaling as well as a photo mount, and I've just put that little cute fussy cut bear in there with a little bit of space so that it could be hold a picture without having to glue it down. This page is again another belly band using the navy My Colors with the polka dots, and I've added just this little card that was a die cut and slid that under there, and she can do what she wants with that. And again, that is another belly band done the exact same way with the score tape on the sides, little fussy cut up here and a little fussy cut here. Another photo mount page, again another photo mount page, and then on the back here we have a 5-page waterfall. And I wanted, like I said, this is a very simple album, very easy to create, and you can add anything you want to this, flips, flaps, pockets, anything you want, but this is a good base for starting an album for a beginner album creator. This is just a 5-page waterfall done in the standard way that waterfalls are adhered, and I've just cut a piece out and then cut these little strips. A fellow designer had done this in a video, and I thought it was a great idea for keeping this one simple, so I've used that method. And I just cut those little 1/2-inch strips, put them only on the bottom of my waterfall, and they line up with the photo that from the page they were cut from. And like I said, that just gives you 5 nice little pages, which is technically 10. And then on the back here, I did a little pocket with some leftover paper I had, and cut some fussy cuts and this little sentiment out of the scrap just to make a little pocket. And this one was done with gussets so that it's a little bit thicker in there to put stuff. And I've made 2 photo mounts for her, and she can go back and use these, or she can choose to put them on here. Anything that she wants to do with this album, it's very interactive, and she's able to do that. So that is my little walkthrough of the completed album. And going forward, I have a tutorial for you on how this is created, this mechanism and the pages, as well as this angled pocket here. So that is my album. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you create one of these yourself and share it with us. Thanks. Have a great day. Okay, so we're going to start with the Stack the Deck method pages and creating those. And in order to make those, if you want the same as I have, which is 3 pieces of the navy Artisan cardstock, and these are 3 different sizes. As you can see, there's a 1/2 inch in between each. So you will have one piece that is 12 by 7 1/4. The next piece will be 11.5 by 7 1/4, and then 11 by 7 1/4. Once you have those cut out, you place them on your scoreboard, and we're going to start with the 7 1/4 high by 12. And that gets scored at 5 1/4 and also at 6 3/4. Okay, and this is meant for a 2-inch spine. As you can see by looking here, hopefully you can see this in the camera. When this is placed on our spine, we will have a 1/4 inch on either side of this spine. And this will stack. And this is, like I said, known. I just recently found out that this stack the deck method was created by someone. And I just absolutely love it. It works really well. You can do any spine system you want in an album, but I have found that I do like this one for my little bit simpler albums. You can do a lot with these pages. So once you have that one, we will move on to the 11.5 page. Again, we have 11.5 by 7.25. And that is also scored at 5.25 and then 6.25. And that's going to give us an inch, which will be 1/4 inch smaller on each side than this one. And then lastly, we do this one. This is your 11 by 7.25, which is scored at 5.25 and at 5.75, which gives us a 1/2 inch. So as you can see, this becomes a booklet when we put this together. And I will hold that up as good as I can. As you can see, this one I had a little mark, but it'll be covered, so it's okay. This here, when you hold these together, is 1/4 inch on either side's space from this one, and again, this one is the same. So you will have those spaces as you go down, and then the 1/2 inch in the middle. If you wanted to put another one, you could, but then you would only have 1/8 of an inch left. So just keep in mind, if you're using this and you're doing, say, a 3-inch spine, depending on the amount of pages, as long as you start with that 1/4 inch difference on each side, your pages will move nice and smoothly when you open and close your book. And you can do as many as you want all the way up to the middle, but keeping in mind that if you don't have at least 1/4 of an inch of space, your pages won't move quite as well. You can do it with 1/8 of an inch. I have done it, but they don't move quite as smoothly. So next, the pieces to cover this from the Baby Boy Dreams collection. These measure 5 1/8 by 7 1/8. So I like to keep mine 1/8 of an inch smaller than my pages, so that a little bit of that beautiful Artisan navy cardstock shows. So when these are on here, they will be like so. So that is the cut and preparation for the inside pages. So normally what I do when I create an album is I get all of my stuff together ready, cut, scored, and I keep things together like so. This helps me when I put it back together, as well as keeping notes of what I have done, the order I've done it in, and the measurements, so that I have the ability to go back and make a precise cut guide for anybody who watches my videos. So to start, we're going to actually adhere the inside covers. I always do the insides of my album. I do not like to do the cover of my album until the very end. So let's go with that first. And what we have for that is, firstly, the Artisan navy cardstock. And these pieces measure 5 3/8 by 7 3/8. And these are the pieces that will go right inside the book, here and here. So we'll go ahead and put those down. And this is a matte. If you choose not to have that extra blue, I did it this way because I do have the darker blue on the inside in the middle, and I really wanted it to be very clean and streamlined. So just add our glue to the back of that cardstock there. And remember, if you're putting anything that has a flap that needs to go under this, to make sure that you do that first. I am not adding any flaps or lift outs from this on this album as I have in the past. So I don't need to do that. And this is where this tool comes in handy. If you want to really burnish all of that glue and straighten it out as best as you can, so keep sure that there is no lumps or bumps in your glue, this is a great tool for that. And I know this is available at a lot of different places. I actually got mine from Amazon. It's made by We Are Memory Keepers. There's lots of tools out there very similar to this. I was using a smaller one that I had picked up somewhere, and it just wasn't working for me. You can also use an old credit card if that's large enough for the surface that you want to do. For me, I saw someone else, one of my fellow designers, using this, and I loved the results. So that is why I picked mine up. So we've got that one glued down. We're going to go ahead and glue down the other mat, which goes on the back. Again, I don't have any under flaps that need to be adhered underneath this. So keep in mind that if you're putting something with a 1/2 inch flap that needs to be hidden underneath of here, to do that before you really burnish this glue down. You can fix oopsies. I will be absolutely honest and tell you that I had a little bit of an oopsie with my spine on this album, and I had to remove it. And that is another thing I have learned about this lay flat method that I absolutely love, is the fact that because it is not wrapped completely in paper, that being the spine and the cover and back, and it's so flexible, you are able, if you're careful, to remove the back and the cover without damaging them. I was able to, and replace the spine entirely, because like I said, I had a little oopsie. So once that's really burnished, this is where you would decide what you want to place on your inside for mats. For me, I am doing some of the stars, and these measure 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. And these could be inked, but for this album, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep the clean white bright edges on mine. Go ahead and glue that down. Most of my albums, I do the ink edging, but like I said, this one, I just really wanted to keep it clean and simple. So again, with that, I try to press out as much of that glue with my fingers before I use this tool, just because, see, you see how that glue that popped out of there. You can also have like a little towel handy to wipe that free so that you don't have the mess. And just make sure, I mean, the most glues nowadays that people use, such as the one I'm using, they dry clear, but you still don't want to have, especially when giving it as a gift, any of that excess glue showing. Maybe I'm just a perfectionist, I don't know. I just don't like all that excess glue showing. So go ahead and do, and sometimes I get carried away with the glue. It does not take a whole lot of glue. And a lot of people also like to adhere their covers and backs using score tape, and that can be done as well. As long as you have a really good adhesive, whether it be glue or tape, it will adhere. And I try to line these up to make sure they're as even as I can possibly get them. And that is that. See, I managed not to get much glue on that one. I don't have any seepage. So there we have our internal portion. Now you don't need to cover this. You can if you like to match. So I have embellished those pages for the inside with the decorative papers off camera. And that is very easily done. Again, these are 5 1/8 by 7 1/8. And that gives you 1/8 of an inch of space all the way around of the blue navy artisan cardstock showing, which is a great paper to coordinate with this, as well as the cover of my album. And before we assemble this, I just want to show you how I have done this. So when I cut my paper, I kept in mind where the pages were going to go and where they lined up inside of my book. So I cut this out of one of the 12 by 12 sheets that says Dream Little One, and has a little bit of that butterfly, knowing that that was my very front. So when this is in my book, this will be the first page that you see. And I like how that looks. And this will probably not have anything else on it as far as embellishment. This will just be the front cover. I may put a little pocket on the bottom. We will see going forward. But this is how this will lay in the book. So I want to make sure that I'm explaining that when you do these, when you have this, so this page here will be the inside of the first page that we did. And then the first page will be the opposite of this. So I made sure that I lined up my papers when I cut them out so that they would somewhat match or be at least cohesive with what I was doing on this side. So as you can see, when we open this up, I have the larger image from the 12 by 12 with the deer and the butterfly, and then I took the smaller image of the deers, raccoons, and the celestial background and put it on the opposite side on the next portion. And then the middle inside, I have that boy cut out, as well as that little raccoon saying good night. And as we go forward, I have the foxes here, some more of that celestial background, a little bit of the paint splatter, and I chose to put the actual image, Favorite Dream with the bunny. This one is from the 8 by 8, and I placed that opposite this way. Some of these will end up being just photo mats. Others will have pockets and tags and inserts, but like I said, as well as a waterfall in these. So that being said, once those are all embellished and dry, and you can put the pages with just the cardstock pages. You can assemble this little booklet and put it in first and then embellish your pages. I just like to put the very background, the very back page that I'm going to do, whether it be a mat and a decor or just the decorative paper like I've done here. I like to put that on here first and then work from there. So once I get it in my album and I know what kind of space I'm dealing with, then I can start adding from my scraps and other parts of the papers. I can start adding fussy cuts, embellishments, self-made ephemera from different cutouts from the paper, and as well as inserts and things to put them in. So that being said, let's put this portion of this together. And this is done with, I do mine with score tape and glue. The glue for the inside and the score tape on the outside. So how we do this is we're going to start with the largest piece, which has the 1.5 inch spine, and then the one with the 1 inch spine. And I like to line mine up on my scoreboard. I have a mark going down the middle of my scoreboard that is at 6 inches, and it's the very middle of this board. So if you're working with these types of stack the deck pages, they're always going to be, the first one's always going to be a 12-inch page. Unless you're doing a completely different sized album, this is what works for this. I like to line that up in the middle, and I pull it down just a little, and that shows me these black lines here and these green lines that I have put on my scoreboard. This just helps me follow along, so I know when I put this on here where I put it, I have a 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm going to line this up, push this one all the way to the top. I know that my middle is 6. I'm going to lay this down, and I am going to look at my scoring lines for the second page here and line it up on the 1/2 inch marks. Okay? And then I just hold it down like so and flip that over as carefully as possible, not to move anything. And then I am just going to, as soon as I get my glue to cooperate, I am going to put glue, not a whole lot, just enough, holding that down the whole time. You don't want this to slip away because then it'll get off centered. So you want to make sure that your first page is centered or on your scoreboard, flat and held down. And then we are just going to hold this flap down, and we're going to turn this over, keeping this lined up, and then just pressing it like so. And that will give you this. Then you're going to turn this, again, making sure everything is lined up before that glue gets a chance to get completely tacky. And I'm going to take, you can use a regular bone folder. I'm going to use this larger one and just really slightly burnish that down so that it's done, but it's not overdone. We want to make sure it adheres. We also don't want too much seepage from the glue. Let's see how this is not quite adhered yet, so it gives us a little bit of play, so we can go in and burnish that. And as you can see, that gives you that nice 1/4 inch space in between your pages. And we're working on this booklet here. So for the next one, the final page with the 1/2 inch, again, 6 is my middle point. So I want to put this down so that I'm on lined up at the 3/4 and the 1/4 marks, tick marks at the top here, with that 6 right down the middle. And again, we're going to pull this up, hold on to it, and we're going to put that glue right along that spine there. Make sure everything is still straight. And push that down with my finger. And then I'm going to open this, pushing. I put a little bit of pressure just to make sure that all these pages at the top are lined up before I do any burnishing, because I want to make sure that I don't have any things sticky happening. Just push that up and burnish all of that down. And remember, this is still paper, so you don't want to be too aggressive with your burnishing because you want this to be flexible, but you don't want the paper to break. So that's how simple it was to make 12 pages that are the insert of the book. So you get this nice little booklet with this opening message onto this page. And we have a full 6 pages here, gives you a full 12 pages to work with on just the middle of your album that quick. So the way I like to attach mine is I will burnish this down one more time because I see a couple little bumps there from the tape or from the glue. This part I like to do with score tape. And I will run my 1/2 inch, you can use bigger or smaller, however you want to do it, right up to that edge. And down to there. And another strip. And if they overlap, don't worry about it too much, because once you burnish this down and you peel it off, it will disappear. And as you can see, I did rip my paper just a little bit there. I never like it when I do that, but it does happen. It is, like I said, paper after all, and it does rip. So for this one, I'm going to cut because I don't want that to happen again. And I have just a little too much at the top, and I am going to clip that as well. So then we're going to burnish this tape down. And we are going to peel all of that off. Like I said, if it overlapped, it's fine. It'll slip, see, right out from underneath of there. Put those away. And now you have all of this tape on here. And some people would probably prefer to put some glue as well, just to be sure that they get it stuck. So remember when we started, this I said would be 1/4 of an inch on either side. So basically, I'm just going to line this up because it's open to the 8-inch mark being on the end of my score mark, and I'm going to go into that 3/4, and I'm going to make sure it's straight all the way down. Flip it open a little. Let's see, we're a little bit off here. So the 3/4, I apologize, is not the correct mark. And you have to be very careful if it sticks. You can also do this. There we go, I got it. Okay, so let's try this again. I apologize. Hopefully I don't have my big head in the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and line this up on my middle 6 again, which puts my edges of my chipboard at 5 and 7. And then I'm just going to go into 1/4 and holding this as flat as I possibly can. I am going to put this on my 1/4 inch mark. And let's see here. Yes, that's much better. Okay. And then you just want to go in and burnish that down. And I did get this a little bit higher than I wanted to. I like to center it this way as well. But it was not right on the mark there. You can make marks with a pencil before going in and doing this. But then I just like to go in. I don't use a scoring tool for this portion of the burnishing, just because I don't want to take a chance on breaking any of my papers. I'm just smoothing everything out from that score tape underneath there with my fingers. You can use a softer burnishing tool, or you know, however you like to do that. And I just go to the front and the back and very mildly push it down. And I did get it, looks a little tiny bit crooked, but when you close it, this is what you get. All those pages ready to go. I just love this method. So that is how we create this stack the deck method of pages to give us 12 pages in the middle of the album. And I will be back in just a few to do the other parts of this album. So on the next portion here, we're going to put the pocket on the inside. And this pocket was cut from a piece of the paper, the 8x8. And I just have cut it. Let me see here. Pockets, angled pockets can be a little tricky. You need to create them so that they fit on your album where you want it. And then usually what I will do is snip the little ends off so that there's no harsh corners sticking out. and it just leaves a little flat edge, and I'll just do that with my scissors. But as far as the paper goes, I usually will cut an extra 1/2 inch around each side, and that makes it so you can stuff things in the pocket. When you adhere it to the album, it gives it a little bit of dimension. As you can see here, once it's down, I can put this ruler inside of there. So measuring these is a little tricky. I usually will measure the page. In this instance, this was a 7 1/8 long by 5 1/8, or excuse me, 5 1/4 wide paper. So I then took this and did the same thing, and then laid it on here and kind of angled my ruler where I wanted it, drew a line, and then cut that with my cutter. And then for the decorative paper, I did the same thing, but I decided to cut that. I didn't want to cut off that beautiful butterfly right there, so I just kind of fussy cut around the edge of that. So for that, once the pocket is cut and scored at a 1/2 inch all the way around, I'm then going to go in and take my scissors, and I'm just going to cut that edge right here off, just like other mitering. I don't want to go right to the corner. I just want to put it so that it's right at the edge of where that line meets. And that should just overlap a little bit. If it overlaps too much, it'll leave a lot of bulk right here, and it'll make it hard for you to set your papers in. So I'm actually going to angle mine just a bit more right up to that corner. And now you can see I don't have as much of an overlap as I had before. So then we're just going to add some glue to the back of the decorative paper first. Make sure that you get just a little bit. If you're doing it like I did with the fussy cut, just a little bit around that butterfly. Don't go all the way to the edge. It's okay if he flaps open just a little bit. I say he. Just that way when you slide something in, that is still sticking up. Remember, this is going to stick out from the paper, so you want to make sure your glue line does not cross right here where this paper is. So then I'm just going to adhere that to the front portion of the navy Artisan cardstock angled pocket that I have cut, and line it up as good as possible. So there you see how the pocket is adhered, and when you turn it over, that butterfly doesn't have any glue. So when we try to slide, say, a piece of paper in here, this is not going to be in our way, because if we were to put glue on the back of that, as you can imagine, this little wing would be stuck here and you wouldn't be able to slip your papers in. So now we're going to add the glue to the back of this, and you can use score tape as well. I'm just going to use glue today. This is actually I'm sure I've mentioned this in previous segments of my video, gift for my goddaughter who just had her first baby in April, and I wanted to make her a special album, and when I saw this Baby Dreams boy paper, I instantly knew this was the one to use for this. So now we have our nice little angled pocket there, and you can see that it does really well as far as matching up and lining up with everything, and then that little butterfly just kind of sticks out there, which is absolutely beautiful. I just love this paper.